Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. We got Brownie sitting up here on the jack, and we're going to do some investigation onto this model today. It's my 75 Kawasaki H1 500. I'm going to get the seat off, see what it looks like under there, and then also take this side panel off and see what the last battery was that's in there. I know it doesn't work, but I just want to see what I need to replace it with. We're going to get a battery on the inside. I've got an ignition key. We're going to flip the switch and see if anything comes on. It's going to be an exciting day if anything lights up at all. Yeah, and that key's even busting out, so I got to be really careful with this thing. And that's what happens. Let me show you what happened to the other one. The second H1 500 I've got, it was in a lot rougher shape. I worked on it first just to get it tore apart. There's the frame. We got the motor back here. I even got a third motor sitting in there that I got with this bike. You can see there's a tank, handlebars, exhaust. We got some rims here and tires on it. So this is going to be an exciting project for me. But today we're going to be looking at this bike and moving down the road on it. And I'm going to show you step by step what we're doing to this bike, from disassembly to however we fix it, however we clean it up. And that includes sandblasting. I'm going to try to sandblast on my own. I don't know where I'm going to put a little tent in here. I'm going to get me a compressor. I'm going to get the equipment because I want to do this from start to finish on my own the best I can and show you what you can do in your own garage, a do-it-yourself project. So sandblasting, maybe even a little powder coating booth here. We're going to kind of push the limits on what you can do on your own. And it's going to be a long project, I know, but I'm looking forward to each little detail as we go. So stay tuned. Let's dive into this 75 Kawasaki H1 500. So like I said, I do have an original key. I think it's original, I'm not sure, but let's see if this even opens. Not looking good here, folks. Yeah, and that key's even busting out, so I gotta be really careful with this thing. Let's try to find a way to get this seat off. You use the tools you got. I hit it with a little WD-40. And that's what happens. So I've got another problem here. What can I say? What luck, what luck. You know, I'm not going to cut out the bad stuff. You know, you need to see what my struggles are. As I wait to figure out what to do about a broken key, let's go ahead and get this side panel off, see if we can't get, at least look and see what the battery looks like from this side. A lot of rust coming off with that. Not too bad on this side. That looks pretty good. This side's a little rough, but I think we can use that. These things are about 300 bucks online. The other side with the oil tank's easier to find. You can get them for under 100 bucks. For some reason, this left side's really hard to find. And I got a badge with it too, so we'll get that cleaned up. Oh, this is really interesting here. Okay. And that is an old looking battery. Unfortunately, I think I've got to get the seat off to be able to get it out of there, but everything's fallen off. But let's try to remove some things here, and then I'll work on that seat. But that's crazy. That's got a fluorescent green in it. Yeah, let's get some things off of here. Probably a fuse right here. And look, we even got extra fuses here. Interesting. So it's got a tube here for any leaks that happen. So this tells me this, what is that? We have a stamp here, and this stamp, I'll zoom in on it, that almost looks like the abbreviation for 1974. This can't be the original battery. Wow. But yeah, this tube's on here because these old batteries, they had acid in them and they had water levels. And that would take any overflow or spill from the battery down and shoot it out to the bottom of the bike. Really interesting. I don't see a way to get to the positive terminal without taking that seat off. So I'm going to figure out how to get this seat off. Up here under the seat, we have two hinges, and this one doesn't even have a pin on this side. This has got a little cotter pin. It'll probably rust out. And we'll see if I can't drive that out of there. There we go. That wasn't too hard. Let's see if we can't flip this seat up now. Real thankful there's more than one way to get this seat off, so that wasn't too bad at all. The seat pan doesn't look too bad. Look, here's a diagram of where to put that hose that comes off the battery. Daily safety checks. So let's turn it over, take a look. That almost looks cut. Yeah, that's too bad. We're gonna have to fix that. So let's take a closer look. Here's our locking mechanism. That's locked, and that's where I got the key stuck. Now I was able to get it out with a needle nose plier, but here's my dilemma. That's what it looks like. That doesn't work. We gotta figure something out with that. But look what's cool about this. It's got the original spark plugs in there. So they came with 3 extra spark plugs because we got a 3-cylinder bike. And these things would burn through them so fast, I think. Yeah, they just sit in there. Isn't that cool? A couple interesting things I found out about the spark plugs, besides the fact that it came with the case that's original, is that the way these are printed up, the B9HS on these is in black, and the S is bigger than the other letters, and there's a space between it. The other thing is that Made in Japan is stamped on this circular metal collar here, and everything I've looked at, the research, is that this is a 1970s spark plug. And so I know it's important to get this bike running and riding it, and that's going to be a joy, but finding the history out about this bike is really intriguing, and it's important to me as well. And there's a good chance that if this is an original or 1970s spark plug, that this bike has not been ridden since the 1970s, because these bikes would burn spark plugs easily because there's oil that mixes with them. So that's just some evidence that, I don't know, I might have a bike here sitting with 960 miles on it that's an original 1975, and that's all the miles it has on it. Well, I got lucky today. Here's our one sad broken key. I looked up, someone had this exact key online for $79. It's too bad because that's got Kawasaki written on it, but I'm not paying $79 for it. I got a good locksmith in town, took it there, and we've got a key. We've got 2 keys. Let's go see if it fits. Let's take a look. Here's our latch. We got our key. Ah, that works. It works. Latched, open. I think I was pushing in too far, and this little outside piece, I'm going to have to make that fit better. I think if you push in hard, it's not going to do it, and that's how I broke the key. Got to come back out just a little bit, then it works. Let's go test it on the ignition. All right, here's the ignition. Let's give it a try. Fits. On. Yes. Today didn't start off great. I broke a key in the lock. I never thought I'd be sitting here with 2 working keys in the same day. Worked out pretty good. Let's get back. Let's pull this battery. Looks like a positive terminal comes here to the frame. It's got a lot of other things that are coming off of here as well. Hopefully that connects to the positive on the battery and we can just pull that out. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things, and whatever this was. Nice. Let's go have a closer look at it. I'm starting to think that this bike was last rode in 1975. And that 960 miles might be real. So one, I've got some correct spark plugs that are sitting in it. The other thing is this battery. This battery, I believe, is factory. And if that's the case, these things didn't last really that long. And somebody would have stopped riding this bike. And if they didn't, they would have had to replace the battery at least in a year or 2, I would expect. So what I'm seeing is, I can't make out this. I don't know if that's what those numbers are and letters are. If that's March. I don't even know what these are. But there's an insignia that is when you use the last 2 numbers of a year, like 74, you oftentimes will see that little apostrophe or whatever you want to call it. So who knows, this could be September of 74. The bike was produced and came out in 1975. And I don't know the significance of these numbers, and that might not be September because you really need to see all this. But to me, that says 74. And this is the exact type of battery that you would see coming off the factory. And they said it was a kind of a clear white. You could see through it. You could see the levels of your fluid. And over time, they ended up turning kind of a glow green. And that's what we've got here. And all these markings, you can tell that battery's been in there a while. It's really dirty. Now, I did research. Some people said you can have up on the top here, you'll have something stamped. I'm going to clean this up now. I don't see anything stamped on it. Nothing stamped here on the bottom or on the sides. The only thing I'm seeing is right here. And in my mind, that's probably 1974. So if that's true, this battery is original to the bike. So here's another piece to the puzzle. We've got a 1975 Indiana plate with numbers on it. And the research I did on it says that it should be blue and it should have the date at the top, Indiana at the bottom, and it should be numbers only. And so that is a correct period plate. So who would not have updated that plate? If it's 1976, 1977, and you're riding this bike, you're getting a new plate. You don't leave the 1975 plate on there. So all these different things kind of point to this bike maybe being a 1975 with only 960 miles on it. Hey, we got the battery in today. Time to open it up. Let's hope it fits, and who knows, maybe we'll have some power to the bike today. So I went with Moto Bat. So this is supposed to be a really good battery for these old vintage bikes. Yeah, let's open it up and let's hope it fits. We got the battery in, perfect fit. Let's put the key in. Let's see if we get anything. Nothing. I mean, it really was wishful thinking that I would get some power to this bike, but hey, we got the battery. We're going to keep moving on and get this bike torn down. Here comes another biggie. I'm going to look inside this tank. I've looked in it a little bit, but not real close. I've opened it up. I can smell there's a little bit of fuel in there, but This tank is old, and so I'm expecting to find a lot of rust. So let's have a look and see. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, it's pitted just a little bit there in the center, but check out that sidewall over there. That's as clean as can be. Wow, that's hard to believe. That's got me excited again. This tank looks really, really good on the inside. A little bit of pitting, but this whole sidewall and this wall looks brand new to me. I don't see how this could have ran a lot of miles. I mean, it's 51 years old and the tank looks like it's 2 years old. So that's a good sign that maybe 960 miles could be right on this bike. But I have some news. We're going to check out something else on this bike. It's really got me confused, and it has me thinking that maybe it doesn't have the 960 miles that I was thinking it does. This is what's confusing to me. The tires and the dates on these tires. The tires are period. In other words, they look just like they did when they would have come from the factory, okay? But there's a marking down here that says NFX 244. And from what I've looked up, that 244 is a timestamp, meaning the 24th month of a year that ends in 4. And I'm thinking, yeah, that could be 1974. That makes sense. But in 1974, when these bikes were produced, they didn't have a tire stamp like that. So that's got me confused. Unless any of you know different and think this could be an original tire or it could be from 1974, I'm going to have to take a step back and say this part of the bike doesn't match up with thinking its mileage is correct and that it hasn't been ridden a bunch. But could someone have bought it? I know it's changed hands 3 or 4 times. The title kind of went on a skip thing for a while, so we don't really know who had it, how long they had it. Maybe it only has 960 miles on it, and somebody decided to put some new tires on it later in life as they owned it, just so they would have a rolling model. I don't know. But let's head back. Let's look at the rear tire also. So along the same lines, this rear tire, it's not original. So that kind of throws a monkey wrench in my thought process as well. This is an aftermarket tire from Taiwan. It's aged right. The period of it is right, but it's Nankank. That's the name of the company. The size is right, but it doesn't have any dates on it for a tire stamp that tells us the date of the tire, which tells me that it's an old tire because they didn't require it back then, or this company didn't have to do that because they normally didn't ship to the United States. So anyway, this tire does not give us a clue as far as how old the tire is. Could it be an aftermarket tire that somebody picked up the first year they owned this bike? It's possible, because if you look, we also have a solid sprocket here, and that's not original to the bike. But what happened was guys would hot rod these bikes and take them to the drag strip, and if you had a solid sprocket and you had a different beefier tire in the back with a lot thicker tread, you could hook the rear end up a whole lot better and be able to get a faster time down the track. So even though these things are different, there is an explanation for why they might be on this bike, and they could still be from 1975. Another part of the story is the person I bought this from, it was really confusing. He wasn't a good historian, didn't really know a whole lot about the bike, and I just don't trust that he had it very long, knew what he was doing with them, and I don't think he touched them. He did tell me that he thought that the camshaft on this bike was broken in half. And who knows, that could fit the story if this was a drag bike or they were trying to push the limits on this bike and it broke the camshaft, and then the people that owned it just said, forget it, we're not fixing it, it's going to cost too much money. And that happened at 960 miles on the bike. I don't know, that's going to be something we find out when we get into this engine and we tear it up and see what the camshaft looks like. Let's go ahead, it's time to get the gas tank off. What's interesting about this bike is that Kawasaki didn't use any kind of bolts to attach this tank to the frame. all they did was have a strap in the back that attached to the frame. It looped over this lip here and to the other side. And then up here on the frame, there's kind of some U-shaped, I guess, receiving ends that this would just, a grommet on the inside of this would just slide into. So once we get this little petcock off here, get the gas lines undone, we should be able to theoretically lift that frame up and be able to slide it back and take it right off. So I really don't care about these gas lines. For some reason they're jammed in there. I'll just pull those out. Boy, those are hard as a rock. Like I said, in theory, this thing should just lift up and slide out now. You got to watch that petcock, make sure it goes through the frame okay. It's already a lot looser than it was. There we go. Really happy with the way this tank looks. The inside, you've got a little C-shaped metal ring there, and on the other side you have the same thing. And so that just goes in, connects, pops down, and then you tie the strap on the back. Here's the little rubber grommet that the tank slides onto. This one's looking a little rough. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, it's cracked. That'll need to be replaced, I'm sure. Really happy with this tank. Solid tank. There is a couple areas of interest that have some rust on it. Have a look here. Mainly what I'm seeing is an area right here. Little bit of rust. It's not much. It's mostly around this leading edge. And that would make sense because that's where that fuel's turned to varnish on the inside. But as far as everywhere else, we've got a little spot here. This is all just kind of like dirt. Comes off. Yeah, it's in great shape. I think we did good with this tank. I really do. All right, calling it quits today. Got some things done today. Got the tank off. Got the battery stuff done. Broke a key. Fixed a key. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments about what mileage you would put on this bike. This tank makes me think again that it really has that low mileage. I kind of have an explanation for the tires, the back sprocket, but you know, we'll never really know. But I'd like to know what you think about it. Next, we're going to head back here to this back cowling, tail light. We're going to head to the front light, the front bars, all that good stuff up there, and start breaking those down and kind of explaining how those have come apart. And eventually, someday, we're going to clean all this stuff up, and then we're going to put it back together. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.